We're driven by the search for better. But when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. Don't search, match with Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors, according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. Ditch the busy work. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. Leveraging over 140 million qualifications and preferences every day, Indeed's matching engine is constantly learning from your preferences, so the more you use Indeed, the better it gets. Join more than 3.5 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/Blue Wire. Just go to Indeed.com/Blue Wire right now and support our show by saying that you heard about Indeed on this podcast. That's Indeed.com/Blue Wire. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
With Audible, there's more to imagine when you listen. Whether you listen to stories, motivation, expert advice, any genre you love, you can be inspired to imagine new worlds, new possibilities, new ways of thinking. And Audible makes it easy to be inspired and entertained as a part of your everyday routine, without needing to set aside extra time. As an Audible member, you choose one title a month to keep from their ever-growing catalog. Be inspired to explore your inner creativity with Viola Davis's memoir, Finding Me. Find what piques your imagination with Audible. New members can try Audible free for 30 days. Visit audible.com/imagine or text Imagine to 500-500. That's audible.com/imagine or text Imagine to 500-500.
Before we start, I have to read a cold open from our producer, Arthur. Hello, everyone. I'm sorry I couldn't be with Jens tonight, but I prepared these remarks to share with you as the next best thing. In fact, this might possibly be better than me actually speaking on the show. Let us know if you like this or not. Going to the Pirates game on Friday night, I figured I didn't have a lot of time to see Paul Skeens pitch before the Pirates shut him down for the season. Nobody tell Bob Nutting that's what got me to buy a ticket. You remember that hot dog the Pirates introduced this season? We talked about it a few months ago. It's called the Renegade Dog, and it's a foot-long hot dog with pierogies, pot roast, pickles, and onions. Well, I took the Renegade Dog down, and the Renegade Dog took me down. It's quite messy, so I ate as fast as I could, trying to contain the mess. And it's just a ton of food. I didn't even eat lunch, and I was stuffed. I felt bad the next day. But I also had something to make me feel good, because the Pirates finally won a baseball game.
That's right.
I know we're going to talk about a lot of advanced statistics on the show today, sure. So I brought an advanced statistic of my own. Before my platinum box from Home Field Apparel was delivered, the Pirates had a record of 56 wins and 64 losses. That's a winning percent of .467. As of this recording, the Pirates' record since my platinum box from Home Field Apparel arrived was 2 wins and 1 loss. That's a winning percentage of .667.
That's correct.
Oh my God, there's like another page and a half of this.
Yes, he has a lot.
Oh my God, okay, I'm skimming.
You want me to take it over?
Yeah, go for it, boss.
All right. This is Arthur's here because it's funny the ways I care and do not care about the Pirates. Like, I couldn't tell you more than a handful of players on the current team, but when I see the Sheets patch on the uniforms, it reminds me of when the Pirates tried to introduce red into their uniforms in the 2000s. On Friday night, I didn't care about what happened in the game, but as soon as it was over and the stadium sound system started playing A New Pirate Generation, I was singing along. Root, root, root for our home team. A new pirate generation. Everybody shout, let's go Bucks. The reason I'm not on the show tonight is that I said I was going to go last week on this podcast. I went to Michigan for the NASCAR weekend. It's been very wet, and that's thrown my schedule completely for a loop. When I was driving from the Ohio Turnpike to the track on 2-lane roads through cornfields with dark clouds and intermittent rain, I couldn't help thinking, I'm getting Twister vibes here. As a big city dweller, I guess that's my only reference point for that. The upside, though, is that big city dweller visiting rural NASCAR track, I'm primed to meet someone and fall in love. Ha 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 ha. Just kidding, unless. But I went to Michigan International Speedway to boo Austin Dillon, and they did driver intros in spite of the rain. So I'm declaring this mission accomplished, even though I only got to see them run 51 laps. All right, 4 more paragraphs?
Yeah, I told you, man.
Would you like me to read the rest of it?
Take the last page. Go.
Okay. A bit later on in the show, we'll be unveiling the Sickos poll results. I only voted for 3 FBS teams in my poll. That's how little I know of what to make about the upcoming football season. I can't even keep track of who's in what conference, and you want me to tell you want to tell me who's going to be Sicko? I had to put in work to get to 10 entries so that Google Forms would let me submit my ballot. I voted for R-Truth because I figured maybe a few points would be enough to make someone the highest ranked pro wrestler in the poll. We're talking about the MAC tonight. I'm honoring the MAC by visiting MAC country and suffering through unpleasant weather at a sporting event. It's really unfortunate that the weather has thrown a wrench in my schedule and I didn't get a chance to see the Ypsilanti water tower. I will say, though, if there's a MAC team I favor more than the others, it's Toledo. They got my email address when I attended the Italian Bowl last year, and after getting an email every week last year telling me how their game went, I'm pulling for them. So other teams out there, if you want me to root for your team, you just have to obtain my email. We're also talking about the SEC tonight. I started my day with SEC. That's right, sausage, egg, and cheese. It was on a croissant.
Fucking hell.
Damn it, Arthur.
Oh my God.
Soundboard, please. Soundboard noise here. Come on, something.
Good. Nope, not that one.
Not that one.
No, not that one.
No.
Better.
Okay, that works.
Better.
Totally, whatever. They call him Flipper.
The SEC. What is there to say about the SEC that hasn't already been said on SEC Network?
Is
Besides, of course, anything critical about the SEC. They're going to have 3 teams make the playoff, 3 teams miss the playoff and be upset, 3 teams miss the playoff but be happy, and Jesus Christ, how does that only add up to a little more than half the teams in this conference? It can't just mean more for all of these schools. At some point, there has to be a limit. We've got a great show for you tonight, so stick around. We'll be right back after this little music, and Jordan's going to introduce everyone.
okay. Jesus. Welcome, everyone, to the Sickos Committee Podcast. This is our podcast for the evening of August 18th, 2024. I don't know how much of that cold open is going to stay in there because I get the edit button this week.
Nice.
We'll see how much stays in.
From now on, I'm just going to write something and just send it to you guys and sleep instead of recording this.
Prepared message. Oh, God.
This was Arthur's manifesto. Arthur Stallions. He's in Michigan and he's writing manifestos. Look what's going on.
How many words? Okay, this is only 909 words. That's hardly a manifesto.
Okay, all right.
Hardly.
Okay.
It's like the beginning of one.
I have an argument to go through with Commish to start the show, but I'm going to introduce people first. As always, I'm Jordan. With me tonight, I have Beth, Pitt Girl, Commish, Master Spreadsheeter Kevin, and special guest Parker at StatsOWar on Twitter. Parker, how are you, sir?
I'm great. I've already lost it. I'm going to laugh this entire time. I kind of broke the seal there, but glad to be here with all of you, talking whatever football we're going to talk and whatever Pittsburgh Pirates nonsense that comes our way as well. I'm happy to indulge. So really, really love you guys and love the work and nonsense you bring to my daily football life. So thrilled to be here.
I love your work and nonsense too, Parker.
I mean, I'm a big fan of the echo rate. I've always have been. I love the previews that you can get on his Twitter every week. The probability charts, the more red, the better. We love. Like when both teams are just nothing but red, which is bad.
And we're talking MAC tonight. That's red on red violence. Like,
God.
Those are just a literal
cannot
of red.
wait. Yeah. We're going to do the SEC first to get the blue out of the way, and then we're going to finish it up with the MAC.
Kevin, how are you, sir?
I am good. Had a pretty full weekend, but better way of doing the poll, so more free time, less copy pasting endlessly, but we got there.
I'm concerned about my parents.
Why?
Okay.
Because I as some of you may know, I exported my parents to Big Sky Country and sent them to the land of Holt Arena and the Kibbe Dome in Idaho.
Pocatello, right?
Yeah, Pocatello. They were in Idaho Falls. They've been kind of all over the place. They were supposed to start heading back sort of slowly today. So I decided to do what any normal child would do and use Find Friends to stalk where they were. Friends, they're in Seattle. And I'm concerned that they maybe don't know that to get back from Idaho to Pennsylvania, you don't just keep going like the 3 continents and 2 oceans direction. You need to turn around and come back.
No, we're on a spherical Earth, okay?
It's not.
Flat
It's not
Earthers.
that far away either. It's way the heck out here from Pennsylvania, but once you've already come that far, Seattle, you're like, yeah, we're taking a day trip.
Might as well keep going.
I guess
you go around the Cascades, you hit Seattle, you have a cup of coffee, maybe an IPA, you turn around, you're right back where you started.
My father has to come back. He has the season tickets in his car.
Oh yeah, those are important.
Like, there's several people on this podcast who are currently depending on him coming back with the tickets.
Why are they in the car? Why is that the season ticket storage space?
They're in the trunk where they've always been since time immemorial. Do you know what's fun is whenever he's like, let's take a different car to the game, and we get to like LaVale, Maryland. He's like, we might have a problem. I can't make up, guys. I have never told a lie about my father on this podcast. No. So I will give you a pirate story from my father.
Oh, more pirates. Let's go.
There could never be enough pirates. So we were headed to a Pittsburgh Pirates game, and we got onto the Parkway. I live 2 hours from Pittsburgh. This is almost to Pittsburgh. And Dad's like, hey, we can put on the radio and listen to the pregame show while we're on the way in. We turn on the radio to listen to the pregame show, and there's music. And my father is confused, but we keep going. And it's not until we get to the parking lot that he remembers, oh, the Pirates played at 1:05 this afternoon. This isn't a 7 o'clock game.
Oh, jeez.
Glorious.
I love my dad.
Glorious.
Did they win?
I don't think so. It's the Pirates, and this was like,
It's the Pirates.
like
I think no is the better option.
Yeah.
Probably not.
Hey, Pitt Girl, how are you?
I'm good. It is Sunday. Happy Sunday.
Commish?
I am, fired up from the weekend. Kiddo starting second grade tomorrow. In-laws left on Friday. Just fired up. I don't necessarily know. I'm just going to apologize to the in-laws. I don't know if they listen to this podcast, so I'm just going to say I'm sorry. I hope not, but I'm just going to say I'm sorry for what I've said on this podcast.
Before we get into things, Commish has told me I can't talk about Nickelodeon's schedule this week.
I didn't say that.
Commish said that I couldn't talk about the 9/11 NC State shirt. Okay, whatever. That's fine. But what I am going to complain about...
It was not 9/11.
Listener, I wish you could see Parker's eyebrows.
It was September 6th, 2001.
What did Chuck Amato know about 9/11?
Do you know my dog's birthday is 9/11? It's September 11th. And it's only weird because we adopted him and they wouldn't tell us his birthday. They were like, yeah, it's middle of September. We're not sure. We're like, he's microchipped. Like, obviously we know this. And so we went to our vet the first time we got him whatever and got his shots and all that. And they were like, oh yeah, his birthday's September 11th. And it wasn't weird at all, except the adoption agency thought that we wouldn't take him if we had a 9/11 dog.
Okay.
Oh my God.
So I can't talk about any of these things, but what I will talk about is that Commish accused me of being bougie in our group chat. I was accused of living too fine a life, I believe.
Jordan, you went to Dartmouth.
I mean, again.
But I am one of the people here. Don't ask me about my other degrees. Don't ask me what I'm doing compared to my friends.
All right.
But it's because I had a Belgian beer, I believe.
What else did you have that night?
Taiwanese whiskey. It was good.
Okay, yeah, all right.
Okay, so I'm not shaking the...
You're not shaking the charges.
You are not beating the allegations.
You are not beating the allegations. Hey, all I gotta say is you went...
Commissioner, your mic did the thing again.
It would be funny if one of you had a button that would just randomly hit Commish and hit him out, like the mute button. That would be a good bit. Yeah.
That would be a good bit.
I do. Hold up. I do. There we go. You're muted yourself now, though.
You're muted.
I know. I'm just checking. I was checking.
Okay, you're good. You're good. I'm just saying that I was unjustly accused of being bougie, and I don't like that. I am a man of the people. You know me, folks.
Sure.
You know, good old Jordan's a man of the people.
Good old Jordan.
This is my JD Vance move. I'm one of the people. Do not look at my degrees. Do not look about my jobs. I am one of you. I put my dungarees on one leg at a time.
Where are you going with this?
You also walk your dog holding the leash in the middle of the leash, like you've never walked a dog before.
Now my dog has one of those leashes that has two handles, because like I definitely like my dog like tries to get away from it. Like
they have two-handed leashes.
Those ones that you have a little like leash, like a loop
like a
around
dune,
close.
like a
Those
dune
are called
worm, like you're
rings.
sitting on top,
Yeah, I
holding
mean-
the
I
dog.
mean, I don't have any pets because I have 2 kids. That's enough. But like,
There's a
dog's
second
super-
handle halfway down the leash.
Yeah,
so
my
you
dog's
can
super
hold the
friendly,
leash
so I'm
short.
trying to like keep her from
okay.
too much love to people.
I'm just imagining it's like it's almost like
like it's a fucking TIE fighter control. Yeah.
yes. That's in my head. I don't know what that is.
Anyways, fine.
Yeah.
I was just trying to like be like just to share things with y'all. I also got accused of, I believe, using valet parking the other night was another accusation you levied at
we
me.
discussed that on a previous podcast.
That was my news.
Finding out on your friend's company card, but yes.
So that's the best part about being a Dartmouth alum is that my friends have money.
See,
I don't. I became a teacher first. That was real stupid. Beth knows. Beth can tell you about that part.
No, I will not.
Oh, that's right. You still want to be a teacher. Never mind. What we can't jump to is our preseason poll results, our Sickos Committee preseason poll results. We reached out to listeners. We asked you to tell us your opinions, and that's always a mistake. Thank you for following through with it, folks. Kevin, how was the data collection this year? Have we learned anything?
Yes and no.
Okay.
I put the request out in the middle of the week that people trust that we know what the team nicknames are and not put in Iowa Hawkeyes and Cincinnati Bearcats and just put the name of the school and trust we know who you're talking about.
Did they sell
Most
Cincinnati
people followed
better?
that. We didn't see too many of those. We did see a lot of Iowa and then Iowa parentheses again and then Iowa parentheses a third time. And all of those get counted separately. And I have to fix that too. So please don't include your commentary on the schools either. But it did go better.
What
than
happens
it
if
had.
we need to put
what happens if, God forbid, Iowa is just like normal good this year? Like they like have an offense that scores, in between 25 and 30 points a game. Like, what are we all existentially going to do if we just get that crutch kicked out from us on a week basis?
I don't think
welcome
Iowa's allowed to do that,
welcome
though.
it. I welcome this brave new world.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, like the first year we did this, like on the Twitter, we did one internally inside of our Discord, which you can join for $5 a month. We did one internally, and in 2020, which COVID weird year, Michigan was the champs.
That's right. That was that really 2-4 Michigan, or I think it was 2-4, or maybe 2-3. I have no idea, but they didn't. I can't remember, but they won the championship then. Then we had the best 3-9 team of all time of Nebraska win it the first year on Twitter, and then back-to-back years for Iowa. So I welcome new champ.
Was 3-9 Scott Frost homecoming year?
Yeah,
that was the Iowa went 1-9 in conference with a positive point differential year.
Yeah, that was Nebraska doing that. Yes, that was. I think they beat
1-7, not 1-9.
They beat Northwestern like 56-7, and that was it. They kept losing the heartbreakers. But
Which was the Ireland game, was it not? Yeah,
It was, and there was free beer because the sales kiosks broke.
Yep.
Yes.
What were our vote totals? Like how many people voted, that kind of thing.
So the Lord of the spreadsheet.
We had just over 1,000 votes.
Nice.
I think it was 1,041 ballots submitted.
There we go. We had 819 schools, people, entities that received at least one vote that was counted. There's some people out there that have the wrong understanding of sickos and keep voting for criminals and or
no thank you
problematic things.
Hey, be normal. Be chill.
So yeah,
I'm noticing here
reasonable. Yeah,
I'm noticing here. I'm looking at our top 25 list. We'll talk about a couple of things on this. Can we ask about number 19 San Jose Earthquakes?
Yeah, someone explain that to me, please.
Is that a soccer team?
I'm
I had to look it up.
extremely excited to have
that
the
is a
MLS
soccer team
in our top 25 for the first time ever, but it was largely on the back of, I believe we got 2 full ballots of people just voting for them.
Yeah.
I don't follow that team, so I don't know exactly.
I actually had to look it up. So the San Jose Earthquakes, they are the worst team in MLS. They have 4 wins, 2 draws. 4 wins, 2 draws, and I think they only have 14 total points.
Okay.
They have played, how many games have they played? They have played 25 games.
Oh God.
So their record is
bad.
4-19-2, basically. The 2 draws. They
buddy.
have scored 31 goals. They have given up 61 goals. So they have a negative differential of -30. So the worst team on the east side of it has 23 points. So they have 14 points. So they are like nearly half the worst team in MLS has made it to our poll. So more power to those. Mm-hmm. The funny thing is that they're in a block of like West Coast Bay Area votes.
Right.
They're it's Stanford, San Jose Earthquakes, and Cal.
I mean, look, like, above Hawaii too. So we're all West Coast and
all West Coast.
Okay, Kent State gave up 36.8 points in the MAC last year. How many drives would it take the starting 11 for the San Jose Earthquakes to score a touchdown against Kent State from last year? Line play is already problematic. You gotta suspend disbelief a little bit because line play is going to be an issue. But provided they could find 5 guys who could kind of play offensive line, we talking like 80, maybe 90. Which it being under 100, I think is pretty.
Yeah, we're going to be here a while.
I'll go through. I'll read from the bottom to the top a little bit, and we can talk a little. I'm going to do top 30. 30 UCLA, 29 Brian Ferentz, number 28 Ray Gunn. We'll see if Ray Gunn's got the legs to last this season.
Probably not.
No,
I don't think so.
I am excited to just get a non-Ferentz, non-Jimbo Fisher as the new highest ranking person in our poll. Yeah.
You know, offensive analyst Brian Ferentz of Maryland has made
I was just about to ask where he went.
Yeah, no, he's a analyst for Maryland this year.
That's right.
So.
Yeah, don't worry too much about that. We all know who Colorado's playing in week 0.5.
We have 27 Arkansas, 26 USC, 25 Georgia, 24 Alabama, 23 Auburn. That's 22 Texas, 21 Texas A&M. That's 5 SEC teams in a row.
5 SEC teams in a row at the bottom of the top 25 of the Sickos poll. Are they warranted? I don't know. Maybe.
And there's a few more in there too, so you can start screaming SEC bias as well anytime you'd like, Internet.
We then moved to the West Coast with 20 Cal, 19 San Jose Earthquakes, 18 Stanford, 17 Hawaii, 16 Miami, 15 Vanderbilt, who finally got, or at least has been bragging about having their Jumbotron no longer on cranes. Good for them. 14 Michigan,
really.
14 national champion Michigan.
Yeah.
13 UConn, 12 UMass, who had one of my favorite schedules because they're playing a quarter of an SEC schedule anyways.
Yeah, I was a little upset about that you did that.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize it.
For the Substack to go out, but that's fine.
Everyone will enjoy it. Number 11, Kennesaw State, 10 Rutgers, 9 Florida.
I mean, have you seen Florida's schedule? Yeah, they're up there. And Napier's on the hot seat, so I can see that.
8 ULM, 7 Washington State, 6 Northwestern, and their beautiful on Lake Stadium. 5 Oregon State, 4 Nebraska, 3 the Pac-2/12, whatever we're calling it, 2 Colorado, and 1 Kevin. No, Kevin's name is just hiding it. It is Iowa.
It's Iowa. I don't know what's going to take Iowa to get dethroned. Like if they average like maybe like 27 points a game or something, and they just go.
It has to be boring though, because if they start winning by like 70, they're going to stay there. So it's got to be just the most boring 25-point wins.
It's just going to be like 35-17 all year.
Oh, yeah. Boring, but not so boring that it becomes interesting again.
Yeah,
They have to turn into to drop from the one spot. Like what team would they have to turn into?
No, because NC State's too interesting.
I was just thinking Missouri? NC State too.
Like no, Missouri's too interesting too. Who's just like Memphis right now is kind of just like Cincinnati right now.
Memphis was the lowest team last year at the end of the season. They had the lowest amount of FPF votes.
Because no one even remembers Memphis last year. Like I was just. Well, I know
UNC without all the Mac Brown stuff.
There could be an argument for like Vanderbilt having an extremely fun quarterback, and I don't want to get too much in the SEC. We'll talk about them whenever. But like if they have an extremely like fun and chaotic quarterback, like Diego Pavia could throw 6 interceptions a game. I feel like that's pretty awesome. If they're like
that is
2-10, 1-11,
we're all in
I'm saying
on it.
Vanderbilt. Let's put them at the top. Absolutely.
Yeah, like a super chaotic Vanderbilt could take this.
So,
2-10 Vanderbilt with the obligatory Diego Pavia, Jerry Kill win over Auburn.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
the minute the Auburn win happens,
we don't need Iowa to fall off. We need somebody to overtake Iowa, which we need to hope for this. We don't, because I can't figure out how Iowa,
Yeah.
Except for Colorado. Like, please don't let Colorado be this team.
I want to see something. I want to see someone outside the Big Ten come in and show us their sickos bona fides.
But
Big Ten counts a lot of teams now, though. UCLA.
I know it's gotten worse.
Maybe Oregon State or Washington State makes a crazy run this year, like a very play well run as a fuck you, like that kind of thing would be good. A good story. UMass blowing through somehow stumbling through their max schedule and then knocking out 3 SEC teams, especially Georgia on the road. I mean, that's a good argument. They play Georgia on the road and then come back to host UConn in the big rivalry game. They're going to come back looking like soldiers from the front, I'm afraid.
If New Mexico drops this one, they're a 9-point dog right now to Montana State at home. I feel like that's a pretty strong argument for you're absolutely you lose the FCS game, you might not win an FBS game. If they can be at least a modicum of interesting, they have a case for someone that we could all rally around. But yeah, it gets pretty dark. I don't like to feel like I'm punching down when I'm voting for a Sickos thing.
No,
right? I want to
root
root for them and think, oh, that's my, that's a fun little thing. So if they could lose this FCS game and then randomly upset somebody who doesn't care later in the season, that would be a lot of fun.
Hold up, I have to see who next is non-conference right now, because I have to see what that team is, because it will make me happy to see. Oh, that's going to be then. It's Auburn.
Good.
It's
Good.
Auburn. Fuck yeah.
Right. Wait, so New Mexico plays Auburn?
I want to pretend I set that up. That was
7:30.
serendipitous. I wish I had pulled that off, but
Oh my god.
A jacked up Bronco Mendenhall team ready to fucking punch nuts and just take charge goes to Auburn and just it's gonna be good.
Get that motherfucker fired for me. Do it, New Mexico.
Auburn hates the entire state of New Mexico after this year. I will never go there. How dare screw you, red and green chili.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, I totally root for it. We don't want anybody to go winless. We want teams to get wins and become causes we can cheer for, which is great.
It's when the little guys do great or the good guys fall on their face. There's our humor there. There's
kind of our humor. It's you got all this money and things are not going well. That's hey, we're there. You don't, we're rallying around you. And then, I don't think ULM's going to be able to live up to the lofty 8th preseason ranking. But the over under is 2.5. So
is it 2.5 or 3? Okay.
It's 2.5. I saw it at earlier this year. It was 1.5.
It's gone up.
Then they changed it to 2.5, and I was everyone's ULM's going to get 2, and I'm I don't know.
Kevin, was there any other interesting things in the list? Any random ones that jumped out at you?
Besides our first MLS team making the poll?
Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah.
The White Sox are in there.
25. There was a lot of White Sox votes.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Ray-Gun, there was a lot of various votes for different aspects of the new video game that all got consolidated and got it up to 64th. It is between Oklahoma State and Ohio State in our poll.
Yeah.
People were a big fan of the Oregon mascot's tour of attempted stadium break-ins.
Okay.
Was great.
He is sitting at 78th between Arizona State and Wisconsin.
The Duck.
Someone said that Duck had a dirty butt.
Yes. Yes. And he did. And then I think he saw that people were like, hey, Puddles, wash your ass.
Yeah, he got a dirty butt.
It was a road trip, man. He only had one pair of pants.
Can you imagine trying to keep a white fur butt clean as you're crawling all over things?
I'd argue he's not wearing pants, isn't he? It's a Donald Duck situation. He's got the shirt on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Puddles very much does not wear pants.
Hey, is that?
That's my contribution to the podcast. I'm out. Duck doesn't wear pants. That's all I'm bringing to it.
Hashtag analysis.
The Oregon
this is where you come for hard-hitting journalism.
-1. Yeah, it's pretty rough.
Hold up, I found Oregon Duck Zubaz. Hold up.
Oh no!
Oh God,
Did you
no!
Google? Did you
I'm
just
gonna put
search
that- I'm gonna
Oregon Duck
Oh.
pants while we were just talking?
It's probably it's one of
Do
his
you
1,000 tabs that he has open.
Alert?
Oh,
He still has tabs open from 1990.
Jordan, I might need these.
Aren't they great? They look amazing.
Tweet those now, immediately.
Uh,
Tweet it.
Can I request also
Yeah.
that when we tweet these that we bevel them? Because think about what that's going to look like.
Oh my
yeah.
god!
Biblically
All right,
accurate, the Duck
let
Zubaz.
me
I'll
get
do
working
that.
on that.
Commish, why don't I'll do that. Commish, can you get us to our last sort of football topic before we do the actual
Okay.
review?
Last podcast, Jordan mentioned that he was happy that Coach Gus Malzhan tweeted that his UCF football Knights set a new record of 20 minutes and 16 seconds. A hurry up, no huddle team pictures. So he just tweeted this, and everybody's excited about that. And we're like, okay, this is great. Why would he tweet that? He's just happy that picture day only took 20 minutes. Coach Eli Drinkwitz one-upped Gus Malzhan. He quote tweeted, and he says, new record of 17 minutes and 43 seconds and a much more symmetrical photo than Gus Malzahn's team picture, the 2024 Mizzou football Tigers. Is there going to be another coach that's going to try to top this?
If he's gonna flex his symmetry on that, he needs to work on his GA staff in the back there because they're about 3 rows off.
GA staff are not human or considered people. You know that.
Much more symmetrical.
This is some some
It's
extreme
so
high school shit.
brain.
No, this is some high school shit. This is shit that band directors would argue about.
oh yeah.
About how you got your kids in uniform and out, and we got the picture in the shape of the E in 20 minutes.
It just reminds me of somebody there was a coach when we would do a fire drill in high school, and he'd have a stopwatch at the door.
Oh yeah.
And just timing us oh, this is horrible. This is worse than the October fire drill. What are y'all doing?
That's why we shouldn't let coaches do a lot of things. Coach brain / band director brain is real toxic, y'all. They shouldn't really let us be in charge of anything.
I'm trying to figure out what coaches taught, what coaches were teachers of which subjects for me growing up. I remember there was one, it was Louisiana history. Another one was speech.
Always history.
Football coaches are always history teachers.
Which was speech, which was hilarious. Then I had one that was a geography teacher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, he did like to draw on the board a lot. So he would he's diagramming play. There would be on the chalk. He's like
your tectonic plates fucking play diagram. Australia with the run pass option to Melanesia.
There's Italy, and then there's Corsica, and then Sicily.
Hey girl, I saw you try to think about my metaphor there. Let it go. If you bring attention to it, it gets worse.
Yeah, you're right. It does get worse. All right, I'll leave it alone.
My high school head coach was accounting, which is good because it sounds technical, but clearly the school just bought him the packet. And so he would just slap the packet down on our desk and be like, all right, figure it out. Go back to doing whatever he did. I'm going to go mow the field. See you guys in an hour.
The idea that
Our
they
calculus teacher was the baseball coach, which was
okay. Maybe he was ahead of his time though, with all the StatCast and the physics stuff and the rate of change. Maybe he was just a savant. Yeah.
There's something to be said about a place that would require the head football coach to have another job. That's so foreign to me that you would ever have them do anything else. That's a full-time job, baby. And in Texas, what they do is they call them assistant athletic directors as well. So they don't have to teach anything.
Yeah. Tell me you live in Texas without telling me you live in Texas.
Yeah.
I mean, my school was only 900 people total, but I was a private Catholic school in New Orleans. So, can
you imagine Chad Morris teaching a high school class in Allen, Texas, folks?
Oh my God.
Yeah, see?
So I do want to say my high school's equivalent of this guy was a physics teacher, and he was actually the head wrestling coach. Ooh. And he was also very much and he was interesting. He drove a vintage Volkswagen Rabbit and was otherwise a relatively interesting guy. But his approach to class was very much, I'm going to draw some diagrams on the chalkboard and hand you a packet, figure it out. And the last month of class was Build some bridges with
Awesome.
popsicle sticks.
Ooh.
That's what I loved. Yeah. The popsicle sticks bridges. That was great.
All the like physics things, like drop a bouncy ball and do all the things.
Chad Morris, by the way, is certified to teach mathematics 6 to 12.
Oh.
That's his actual certification. Because in Texas, you can look that up very easily.
Was he like teaching algebra? Or I mean, what was he doing?
No, he was a head high school football coach in Allen, Texas. He didn't even fucking coach football. That's an administrative position, baby.
Where is he at now? He's at a school now. Is he South Florida?
That feels
I
correct.
looked this up recently, and I don't remember.
No, he's at Texas State. He's the wide receivers coach at Texas State.
Oh,
God. Everyone's body language was just completely rotten on here.
Parker's like, okay, I may be out on Texas State now.
Everyone just like tensed or like slumped. It was
You say Texas State, and I just think about Boko.
Yeah, that's all I see now.
Boko the Bobcat.
He's a good boy.
What a mascot.
Let's do a very early ad read, and then we'll go straight into previews.
Yeah, let's do it.
As always, check out our link tree on our Twitter, Instagram, and Blue Sky profiles for various discounts, things we like. If you want a place to chat text-wise, don't voice talk to me, please. We have our Discord through our Patreon for $5 a month.
Okay, it's time to commit. 2024 is the year for prioritizing yourself. Begin your new smile journey with Byte, and you could start seeing results in just 2 to 3 weeks. Just order your at-home impression kit today for only $14.95 at Byte.com. Byte clear aligners are doctor-directed and delivered to your door. Treatment costs thousands less than braces. Plus, they offer financing options, accept eligible insurance, and you can pay with your HSA FSA. Get 80% off your impression kit when you use code WONDERY at Byte.com. That's BYTE.com. Start your confidence journey today with Byte. Hey, Prime members, have you heard? You can listen to your favorite podcasts ad-free? Good news! With Amazon Music, you have access to the largest catalog of ad-free top podcasts included with your Prime membership. To start listening, download the Amazon Music app for free or go to amazon.com/ad-free-podcast. That's amazon.com/ad-free-podcast to catch up on the latest episodes without the ads.
You can join have we announced the new name for it internally? We have, correct?
I think so.
Yeah,
Yes.
we did. We just haven't done a logo or officially changed everything.
We call it the Run Post Option Discord. And it is where we talk about college football. We talk about animals. We talk about food crimes, a bunch of different stuff. You get to also talk with us about our weekly ratings debates. We've already started that. Help us with research, submit suggestions for podcast segments. You subscribe to our Patreon for $5 a month. You also get access to some of our special podcasts, including Commish's Corner. Yes, rah, 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 yes. Beth, we should record one of those when we're together. We should record a bunch of them when we're together. You have enough white wine or red wine to get me through like 4 hours of recording?
I spent a week in the Finger Lakes. I got us covered.
You also get access to any paid Substack posts we have as well. We have our merch store with over 50 items, including koozies, magnets, wine glasses, stickers, shirts, foam trucker hats, and more. We have our YouTube channel, subscribe to it. We have our Instagram, our Twitch. We have our Substack, where we are finally on to our FBS previews. They'll be out almost like one day a week, I believe, this week. Shout out to Message Board Geniuses podcast. They go to the places we refuse to go. And as always, Home Field Apparel for the softest, comfiest collegiate apparel. Beth, you have, I believe, Washington.
I do.
The Huskies. I see Toledo, and I see Texas.
Roadrunners.
UCSA and Notre Dame. There we go. If you're ordering for the first time, use offer code yes, ha 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 yes, 3 ha's for 15% off your first order. And for this season, we will be doing a Sickos hat showcase with Home Field.
Oh yeah.
2 hats a week or more sometimes, we'll see, but 2 hats a week to start with. And what it is basically deep discounts on both hats. This first week, it is our Ireland Showdown hat showcase, Florida State and Georgia Tech. And you get 25% off those hats with yes, hat, yes, that is 2 hats.
That is 2 hats because there are 2 hats on the promo. Get it?
That's good.
Yeah.
2 hats enter, no hats leave because they've all been bought.
That's what we hope.
Buy them for yourself or your friend or whatever. Absolutely. Okay, Commish, I need to turn on my AC because it's hot in my house and get some water. Intro the next thing, please.
I did want to just mention with Home Field too. They are releasing 5 new schools this week. So 5 new schools. You got New Mexico State, South Dakota State. You have ODU, and you also have Kennesaw State. Hooty hoo, which Jordan says hoot hoot on the Twitter, and it really bugs me because it's hooty hoo. That is what they say in Atlanta. Hooty hoo. Also, along with Master P and the 504 boys, they said hooty hoo. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get it started for the previews. We have Parker here, and we have the Super Sicko Spinning Selection Season Preview Forecast, the SSSSSPF, aka the 5 SPF. We've got 99 questions, but a preview ain't one. With Parker, we wanted to get him on to do something called a compliment sandwich, which, we did a little bit of living the dream with Felder last week. So we decided to continue like the work themed things where he's going to give us a good stat, a bad stat, and then another good stat. So you can feel good about your team. So I hope Parker has that squared away. And I know Jordan has the spinning wheel going, I believe, whenever he decides to come back. I see him walking in now and drinking water and sitting down. There he goes.
You gotta love the way that Jordan sets his water down. It's
I know,
authoritative.
It's very authoritative. Like he does the thing that you can't do, and you can tell he's never waited on tables.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Hold the drink like this. Yeah.
Definitely.
Sorry, I've always wanted to be a color commentator. I was very excited about that.
What was this?
Nothing.
You'll find out when you edit the podcast.
You'll find out in editing.
That's always a great feeling.
Oh yeah.
Oh, then I'll actually have to listen to this podcast as opposed to just randomly cutting it based on vibes. Okay. Commish, have you introduced us into our next part?
I have. And I was like narrating you coming in and Beth was color commentary.
Okay, hold up. I got to get something else out now. God, you guys. Someone vamp for me.
Did you want to know who was 69th in our poll?
Who was?
It was Liberty.
Oh, that's good.
Nice.
No.
No, not nice at all.
It's only nice if you get to watch.
Parker's slowly dying on the inside right now.
The viral Turkish shooting medalist got exactly 69 points in the poll.
That
Actually,
nice.
nice.
That's nice.
We're covering the SEC first. Did you read out the SEC standings?
I did not read out the schedules from last year, but we got new teams in the SEC. I can't believe this. Texas was 10-2 last year. I'm sorry, 12-2.
Excuse
last
me?
year.
Excuse me?
I don't want to count. They had to vacate 2 wins. So Texas was 12-2, 8-1 in the Big 12, and they won the Big 12 going away from the Big 12. Oklahoma was 10-3 and 7-2 in the Big 12. They lost in the Alamo Bowl by turning the ball over 6 times in front of the Commish. SEC standings last year, Georgia was 8-0 in conference, 13-1 overall. Their only loss was in the SEC title game. They blew the ever-living crap out of Florida State in the Orange Bowl. Mizzou, 6-2 in conference, 11-2 overall, win in the Cotton Bowl in one of the ugliest games ever, which is amazing. Doesn't matter. Count it, Mizzou. Tennessee, 4-4 in conference, 9-4 overall. They obliterated Iowa in the Citrus Bowl, 35-0. Kentucky, 3-5 in conference, 7-6 overall. They lost a wild one in the Gator Bowl to Clemson. Florida, 3-5 in conference, 5-7 overall. South Carolina, 3-5 in conference, 5-7 overall. Even Darude could not save South Carolina last year. Vandy, 0-8 in conference, 2-10 overall. Alabama, 8-0 in conference, 12-2 overall. Their only losses were to Texas and in OT in the Rose Bowl to Michigan. Ole Miss, 6-2 in conference, 11-2 overall. They won their bowl game, right? They beat the crap out of Penn State in the Peach Bowl, right? All right, that's right. LSU, 6-2 in conference, 10-3 overall. They won their bowl game that happened in Florida. I can't remember which one it was, but it was a comeback victory. Texas A&M, 4-4 in conference, 7-6 overall. They lost the Texas Bowl to, I think, Oklahoma State. Auburn, 3-5 in conference, 6-7 overall. They got blown out by Maryland in the Music City Bowl, I think.
Yep.
Mississippi State, 1-7 in conference, 5-7 overall. Arkansas, they did not embrace the hog. They were 1-7 in conference, 4-8 overall. The SEC title game was Alabama defeating Georgia 27-24.
As always, we'll pick our team and then we'll cover one random fact about or question about their team. Number 1 is Texas A&M, as Unicode has decided to show me.
I love this.
And our question is your school's endowment? Use $80 million as your Jimbo Fisher buyout. A Texas A&M endowment has to be like ginormous.
Oh my God. A&M would get this question.
The Texas A&M University system has an endowment valued at more than $19.2 billion.
Okay, we'll use the whole system.
9.
What are we looking at here? I'm looking at
I gotta rotate my calculator.
Like 240, I believe.
Yeah, 241.
That's a lot of Jimbos,
they can afford to buy out Jimbo. I'm just gonna say that they can afford to buy out Jimbo.
Parker, what fun things?
So many fun things. I have a couple stats that I'll circle that I think are interesting when we're talking about them. I will say before I say anything else about them, I am in on Texas A&M, which makes me feel just absolutely terrified. But I've spent the entire offseason saying like, okay, what if you just take away, you get some positive injury regression, and you take away all of the nonsense from last year, and now you have a playbook that is a tractable, 50 pages as opposed to Jimbo's 1,000-page of audibles and everything. I can see it. So the first stat that I'll pull up is looking at Connor Wegman last year in limited time, but only 7% of his pressures were converted into snaps. So that pressure to sack ratio is a really sticky kind of quarterback trend. Tells you not only what they can do avoiding sacks or avoiding pressure, but also what they can do in creating under, duress, which is a really important thing for quarterbacks. Take a negative play and making it good. So my nice stat for them is that, hey, I think Wegman's got some juice. I think he can move around with Colin Klein at OC. He absolutely can be a lot of fun and create under a lot of circumstances. Do we want me to go good, bad, good right off the bat? Do we want to bounce around and come back? I also try to sound not like a huge nerd in the next couple as I get more comfortable and with our pace.
No,
are you kidding? We love huge nerds. Oh, please be a huge nerd.
Good. Like I mean, we're sickos. We love watching all the games and we love all the stats. Like we don't know how to get most of them.
Parker, I need to describe like the cross section of our fandom, the circles of have some part of like a social science, like a master's degree, or have taken enough stats classes to like be interested in it. That number is way higher than I think anyone wants to mention or is good for this country. So
great. Well, I'll go. The bad one and the good one there are paired. And I'm going to talk about Eckel a ton here, but the bad one is points per Eckel for Texas A&M last year. They were 81st. They only scored 3.40. So for the uninitiated, Eckel is a stupid stat that's better than time of possession to figure out, how much in control you are of a game and kind of how many opportunities you create, because that's often correlated with success. So they were 81st in points per Eckel. That means every time they got a first down at the 37 or better on those drives, they were barely scoring more than a field goal, which is not good enough for any team, but let alone a team playing an SEC schedule. So that's the bad one right there. That speaks a little bit to some of the injury luck, some of the playbook issues, and some of the finishing issues there. But the good news is a weird kind of Eckel adjacent stat. Thinking about plays in opponent territory, how often were you putting pressure on opposing defenses? Texas A&M played 54.8% of their offensive plays in opponent's territory. So they were capitalizing on mistakes. They were moving the ball. They just really, really, really struggled to finish drives there. So if you're looking for a kernel of excitement about Texas A&M, you're saying they're going to have a talent advantage. They moved the ball well last year, even with all the nonsense. Things should be a little bit more normal. If they can figure out how to score in those situations, they could be pretty good. So that's kind of the paired bad and good stat for Texas A&M.
It's my favorite. I love like when he came up with it. I love it because I mean I think on one podcast I listened to Parker. He said like offense and defense are kind of like bowling.
Yeah, that's my weird take.
Like everybody kind of gets their everybody kind of gets their turn to throw the ball. Like what are you doing when you get to throw the ball down the lane? And I mean, are you throwing the ball and creating 7-10 splits, or I mean, are you getting strikes? Or are you just like leaving a bunch of open frames?
How connected is that into efficiency?
There are a lot of ways to skin a cat. So efficiency is, can be different. Sometimes you'll see, and I've actually done some stuff that I'm unveiling for this year to normalize these Eckel points per Eckel, for instance, because you'll see like a really bad team will have like 6 points per Eckel. That just means they never scored when they were in opposing territory. And they never got Eccles, and they just got a big play touchdown now and then. So too high of a points per Eckel is a little bit weird. The Eckel rate and ratio say nothing about how you got there. They were just a descriptive kind of, I like to think of them, they're not like a substitute for EPA per play. EPA per play, rush and pass, expected points added for those who are unfamiliar, kind of tell you how well did you move the ball in those certain situations. Eckel is saying, like, at a team level, at a drive level, how many quality possessions did you create or allow, and then what did you do with them?
This kind of thing is always fascinating to me, so I'm going to nerd out and enjoy that. Our next team is Arkansas. September Maryland scenario. This team goes undefeated through the end of September. Who do they beat and how do they finish the season?
Oh, man.
I have a feeling this is going to be one of those where if they like win all those and then the slide is...
The slide's going to be the slide.
All right. So September Maryland scenario for Arkansas. They start off with a win over Arkansas Pine Bluff, upset Oklahoma State at Oklahoma State, beat UAB at home, beat Auburn on the road, and upset Texas A&M in College Station.
I mean, that's not possible. No, that's not College Station.
That's the Jerry World game.
That's the Jerry World game.
God.
And Arkansas, I believe, is 1-11, like in the last 12 years, or some insane number in this game.
So they're 5-0.
That game is never normal, though.
The game's never normal. Yeah, they hit the top of the upright last year.
You're right.
Yes, I mean the top of the upright. Like, you can't forget the top of the upright.
The doink to rule them all.
The one doink to rule them all. That's right. Their first game in this September Maryland scenario is against Tennessee. After that in October. So that's kind of like it begins Arkansas bracing the hog.
They'd be ranked.
They get Tennessee by LSU.
Like those first 5 wins, they'd be ranked like 14-13. Get those, like, win over Oklahoma State and Texas A&M if it's still a good win, and then just every branch on the way down. Tennessee, LSU, Mississippi State. That one will really hurt. Ole Miss, Texas, Louisiana Tech. Last game lose to Mizzou. Actually, this feels very possible, y'all.
Oh no!
I think they get 6-6. I think they beat.
Feels really possible. Oh no! Okay.
They get a bowl game. Does Pittman survive? Who knows?
Oh yeah. Hey, Parker, what's fun?
What's fun about Arkansas is okay. Here we go. I got tabs all over the place. What's fun about Arkansas is that their explosiveness allowed in the pass game was much better than their success rate, and so they were 23rd in EPA per pass, opponent adjusted. Those raw numbers are going to look weird, but opponent adjusted, they were 23rd. In passing success rate, they were 49th. So when you see the EPA better than the success rate, you're saying, hey, okay, you're giving up some chunk plays, but you're not letting the doors get blown open. You're not giving up these huge plays. So there's some maybe correctable issues with the structure and with some personnel. You're not just getting run over. So that's probably the nicest thing I can say about them is, their explosiveness on offense was kind of better than what they wanted to do on defense. Their explosiveness on defense was better than their success rate. In terms of a negative stat, I'll go with a weird one that I'll reference a couple times tonight. Percent of scrambles forced by their defense by coverage as opposed to pressure. Arkansas was in the high 80s on that stat, which was third worst in the nation. Basically saying that when opposing quarterbacks scrambled, it was because of coverage. They were not getting pressure. And so that's something that you really, that's a bad, like North Texas and Minnesota were the 2 teams in front of them. That's not a good list to be on.
That feels
You've
right.
got to generate those pressures. And so when quarterbacks scrambled, it was because, hey, the coverage is good and I can take something. So that's kind of a big crack in the foundation for that. Obviously, I could say a ton of negative things about their offense. I won't do that.
That's enough. We can move on to the next one. Don't harp on Arkansas too much. Unless you got one more.
What I'll do there is say on offense they were 129th in early downs EPA, really really bad. Just couldn't do well on third and fourth down. They were 69th in success rate, so they were better on late downs than they were on early downs, which means they can at least pick up the pieces in certain situations. So that's a slight positive there.
That was a little nice.
That's one of those where, like, Arkansas fans, even if they didn't know that stat, emotionally understand that stat. Like, oh, that explains why, my teeth would be ground to a fine powder every first and second down. But then I feel like the weight off my chest on.
If I'm going to be a cynic though, like you have KJ Jefferson, if you need 3 yards, you're gonna get it, right? Like that's.
Yeah, but
right,
no
yeah.
longer.
So it's Taylor Green now. We'll see what they can do with that. But yeah, so that one's trying to find some optimism about the Arkansas offense last year, but it was not great overall.
Next up is Texas, and oh no, our wheel isn't working. Everyone just has to say nice things about Texas. Commish, go.
No.
Horns down.
It's not working. My
horns
voice
down. Horns down.
Is their QB more likely to be a Heisman finalist, a Detmer finalist, or both? Detmer being our proprietary way to measure chaoticness in a quarterback. looking for high passing numbers and lots of touchdowns and interceptions as close as possible. I mean, like, let's be honest here. This is going to be a Heisman finalist before a Detmer finalist.
Yeah, this is Texas. This is how that works. Their name is Texas, so
we could have all just said something nice about them. Hey, Parker, just tell me a real nice thing about Texas.
Because
I know you love them too. So just tell me.
They got rid of
tell
Gary
that Jordan's
Patterson.
a little bit of a Texas fan.
That is, I mean, that is
They
true.
got rid of Gary Patterson. That's a nice.
Historically, that has helped. I mean, so is it that you love the spark in Bevo's eyes and it just makes you dull and misty?
I just love burnt orange. You know, it's just my favorite color, and it speaks to me.
I know. Okay, you know what? I'll make sure that your little animated figure is in burnt orange. Give me a little hook 'em. No, that's all I need for Texas. They're great. I love them. National champs, baby. Next up is Florida. Go Parker.
It could happen. Yeah. One thing I'll say about Texas, the offense was excellent last year, and on a down and out efficiency basis, they were also 13th in starting field position. So sometimes I feel like it's easy to let things slip through the cracks, and that's really what differentiates a good team from a championship team. Holding talent constant is, hey, we can set our offense up and get some easy layups, and Texas' offense has benefited from some really good field position in addition to being very good. That being said, on the negative, we're going to go back to points per Eckel. They were 106th in points per Eckel, 3.14. We saw it all season. Yeah. I love this so much because this is 100% like eye test and numbers. Yep, I totally agree. I totally understand it. I don't know if that's Quinn Ewers processing. It's hard to look at like A.D. Mitchell and Xavier Worthy and Jatavian Sanders and say like, oh, they didn't have guys who could create separation in the red zone. But something is amiss with this offense at Texas with being able to finish. If they're going to ascend from what they did last year or even really compete in the SEC, they've got to score. You got to have touchdowns, not field goals.
That's the one thing that I'm curious about because they lost the Murphy and Sweat that set them up a lot last year. And that's like two folks that won. I mean, they won trophies like for their position and stuff. Yeah. I mean, like Byron Murphy and Tavondre Sweat. I believe I voted for them in awards. I can't remember which ones they are at the moment. Losing them and not having that, and then now moving to the SEC. So it's like, let's see what goes.
You're sweating the Michigan game, honestly, earlier. No pun intended with Sweat being gone, but you lose those two and you lose Ford. They were second in EPA per play on defense last year. That'll be my positive there. Second in EPA per play on rushes last year, ninth in rushing success rate allowed. So you're hoping that the scheme system will help them survive.
But they had some year-ending injuries for their running backs.
Yeah,
right?
That's on defense. I was saying with the loss of Sweat, they were second in EPA rush defense.
Okay.
And so you hope with the loss of those guys, like obviously they made a lot, but maybe there's bones and guys who practice behind them that can step in and continue some stickiness from last year, even as they mitigate two big personnel losses.
Florida's up next.
Oh,
our question is, what is their best rivalry trophy?
The SEC doesn't really do rivalry trophies.
I don't know. I mean, there was one that was, I think the Florida versus Miami rivalry trophy was like a canoe.
I think that was Florida State Miami.
Rivalry.
No, that's the Florida Miami rivalry.
Florida Miami is the Seminole War Canoe.
Yeah. Okay.
It used to be the War Canoe. That is one of my classic favorite ones, honestly.
Yeah, SEC doesn't do too many rivalry trophies. I don't know if they're too good for those, but I mean, come on, bring those back.
They'll melt. Parker, is Billy Napier getting fired this year?
I don't know. I've liked Billy Napier for a long time. Full disclosure, he and I chatted a bunch when he was at Louisiana and did some data stuff and talked to them a little bit. In that very, very limited capacity, have a ton of respect for him. Understand that he's in a really hard position. The thing about like the coaching cycle and hot seat is almost like if you have to ask, the answer is yes, right? Because you're behind. Like if you don't have full vision. That being said, if he's not and he survives to the end of the year, he should be there for a while. This is a ridiculous schedule and a ridiculous situation. And with the Rashada stuff and the recruiting stuff, like he's done a good job, continually getting the balance back. If they can surprise in a couple games and just win a couple key games this fall, I think that he should survive and be on the right path. That being said, it's hard and the ball bounces weird. And him getting fired is not an indication of, necessarily his quality as a coach alone, as much as it is, hey, this is a really hard situation and it takes a special person to do it. And if he's not, the right piece for that puzzle, it's not like I'm going to say, oh, he's bad and he should never coach again. I think he's shown us at levels that he's a good coach, kind of regardless.
I didn't hate
chews people up and spits them out. It is one of the most aggressively just bristle.
I didn't hate Billy Napier. I just wanted him to leave the Cajuns.
Yeah. He fixed your problem. For sure.
No, it was like it's no longer our problem in Louisiana Monroe, and we were able to beat the Cajuns. So I'm completely happy with that.
Can I rewind us really quickly to the rivalry trophy question? Because I want to show you guys the McCullough Trophy. You will see it in the chat if you take a look. It's in the Discord. Sorry, Parker. It's between Florida and Florida State, and it looks like the Seminole is playing rock paper scissors with a gator.
That's right.
Okay, I like this.
Yeah,
I like this a lot. Okay.
Good one.
Thank you, Beth.
No problem.
Oh, this is good. I do like this.
Either that or like he's about to bop him on the head like little bunny foo-foo. Either of these interpretations is beautiful and canon in my heart.
Next up is Kentucky. And our question is, talk about their stadium, Kroger Field. What are the Google reviews for Kroger Field?
Oh my God.
Hey, Parker, is Kentucky going to be that team again this year? Are they going to at least be fun to watch?
I think there's an opportunity for it. Obviously, Brock Vandegrift, looking like he looks, wearing camo and embracing it is great. Ray Davis, missing tackles left and right last year really, really benefited them. They were 19th in EPA per rush on offense, a lot of explosives, a lot of yards after contact. And a lot of yards before contact, which is a good combination for running backs. Hot take there. One thing I am worried about is just like the Eckel ratio. So kind of like how often were you creating versus how much did you allow opponents? They weren't ever really in control of games. They were 77th with 49.1% Eckel ratio. So they were giving up way more opportunities than they allowed. That historically is not something that fixes overnight. You can certainly trend up year to year with development and everything. But as solid as I think they were, there's a lot of turnover. I'm worried about transfer roulette at the quarterback position and the sustainability of that. So that coupled with the foundations, I'm a little bit worried about that. They don't have a lot of bowl eligible teams on their schedule looking at projections. So like maybe they'll get some easy wins with that. But in terms of national competition, it's hard to see the way that Kentucky is, one of the top 15 teams in the nation at the end of the season.
I got one review I want to read.
If it's CD Riley's, please, folks.
It is CD Riley's.
I have a different one, but okay.
I have a different one as well.
I got CD Riley, so we go ahead. This is from 2015. I stepped on a bolt in the stadium in 2015 and fell down. My girlfriend at the time laughed at me and broke up with me. I had to find my own way back home. I had to spend money for bus ticket to home.
And there's a picture of a bolt.
Yes.
There's a picture of a bolt in this review.
Okay. Beth?
I have one from Alex Childers. Mm-hmm. Honestly, I don't know why I keep coming back. I always leave this place feeling worse than when I came in. I should expect it by now, but it still happens. You come in expecting to see a nice game with your buds and have a good evening, and then you leave devastated and wonder why you even bother. Food is pretty decent, though.
I would like to read the one above that.
Okay.
I was so hoping you would.
Yes. Presented by McDoubleicious, local guide.
McDoubleicious. Okay.
The stadium is honestly really nice. The stands are relatively comfortable for being bleachers, and everything is laid out very efficiently. I would rate the physical structure 5 stars. The problem is that UK is full of a bunch of money-hungry sellouts and destroyed Commonwealth Stadium. Okay. Such a great and honorable name wasted away for a subtle advertisement. Tons of people are going to shop at Kroger anyway, so having a field named after them won't sell any more milk and cereal in the morning. Such a disgrace. I hope that whoever decided to make a deal with Kroger for $1.85 million a year regrets ever committing to this atrocity. If not, maybe this rating and review can make up for it in some sort of way. Even if it's only a fraction, I want whoever is pulling the strings to know that there are some sins that are unforgivable. And then there's a meme of Jesus with a machine gun that says that sin cannot be forgiven.
Okay. Thank you, Delicious.
Thank you, Delicious.
LSU. Guy. Question is their coach fired if they go 5-7 this year?
Yes. Right, fired if they go 5-7.
Easy.
Yes.
I would laugh a lot though.
It's funny, but he's not.
Oh, I would thoroughly enjoy that.
No.
He wouldn't get fired?
No. He has too much left on his contract.
And they lose
even for LSU.
Even for 3 first-round NFL guys. Where did Brian Thomas go? I forget. And Will Campbell. No, he won't. No.
He won't get fired at 5-7. Oh man,
It'll be uncomfortable.
Be hot
absolutely.
as hell.
But yeah, they won't. No, absolutely not.
Ooh, if
the question is, who do you hire after that? You got a Heisman guy, 9-3. You made a change. You brought in the next best SEC coordinator who would take the job on defense. You're recruiting well. Like, what do you want out of that job?
They have worked themselves into that corner.
That seemed to be Cajun man hot right there.
The question that I have, though, is where on the committee poll does 5-7 LSU rank?
That could be the national
That's a good
champ.
one.
Yeah, that actually has a real good shot.
That could be the national champ if LSU's 5-7. Yeah.
Our next team is Mizzou.
Parker, did you have any things to say
Oh,
about
yeah,
LSU?
LSU. I was just going to point out that they lost 198 of 352 targets. And so that with a new quarterback, Garrett Nussmeier could probably come in and look awesome with Brian Thomas and Malik Neighbors outside. They're going to have to fill those shoes as well as Nussmeier. And, Nussmeier certainly doesn't have Jaden Daniels' abilities outside of the pocket. So if you're worried about returning production and turnover, LSU is really hard to see. Daniels from Liberty is a really good guy. Not speaking personal character, I have no idea. Is a really good player, and that should give Nussmeier a weapon. But that is a whole friggin' lot of turnover in a pass-happy offense.
Next up is Mizzou, a team that I really enjoyed last year. And their question is, what school traditions does this school brag about on their webpage? How are you feeling, Parker?
It has to be like journalism related, right? Aren't they going to be like, we have
the nuclear power?
Yeah, that's true.
They have a website for this, and the listed traditions are Truman the Tiger, Tiger Walk, which is a thing that they totally stole from Auburn, so no. Rock M, Homecoming, Marching Mizzou, the Golden Girls, which is a thing Pitt also has.
LSU also has that.
Cheerleaders, the stadium. None of these are actually that interesting.
So, okay, I found one under the Alumni Association page called the Paddle Line.
Uh-oh.
Up until the end of World War II, there were rules about which students could walk on the quad. Freshmen were required to wear beanies and were not allowed on the quad. Wear your dinks, pledge. If a student was wearing a beanie who was caught on the quad, the seniors would grab their paddles and form paddle lines. Can't do that anymore because of fucking woke.
Thank you, sir. May I have another?
Yes. Used to be able to just beat freshmen. It'd be fine.
To be clear, the Sickos Committee does not endorse hazing.
Yeah, we don't haze people. I mean, I think this is all hazing for me, but I might just be paranoid. It's fine.
I think that they brought in one of the most interesting transfers in the nation last year, bringing in Theo Weiss, who wasn't, super amazingly productive for them. But the stat I have for them is plus 2.3. That's the difference in yards per route run of Luther Burden from his freshman year before they brought in Weiss, and then his sophomore year where they brought in Weiss and he moved back into the slot from outside. He played 13% of his snaps in the slot. In 22, he played 81% in 23 and was 3.5 yards per route run, which is hyper productive. And so that transfer was absolutely key for them and just did so much for their offense. He should be wide receiver 1 by the end of the year.
I forgot that Weiss was at Oklahoma before. For some reason, I had no recollection of where he was. Cool. Next team up is Ole Miss. Number 6 Ole Miss in the first AP poll.
Yeah, we got to say that out loud. It's weird.
Does Ole Miss have a fullback There's no way.
There's no way Lane Kiffin employs a fullback.
No, there's absolutely no. After going through so many colleges like pages for these kinds of things, I've really gotten picky about the ones I like and the ones I don't.
All universities have some weirdness to them.
Oh, I hate this. Why are there so many pop-ups?
Yeah, there are no fullbacks. There are no fullbacks on this roster at all. Asked and answered.
Fix your website, Ole Miss.
Yes, please do.
Ole Miss last year, for one explosive pass every 4.83 snaps. That was better than LSU last year. Excuse me, passing snaps. Yeah, so
that's great.
So that list was Kansas, Washington, Oregon, Georgia, Michigan, Ole Miss, and so insanely explosive on offense. On defense, they chose to not spend money on the running back, spent money on the defensive line, and shoring up one of their weaknesses there. So primed to have another good, experienced quarterback season for Ole Miss down there.
Next up, Georgia. Our question is, what job would Kirby Smart have done if he wasn't a football coach? I can't even fathom that.
That's so hard.
Kirby Smart would own a car dealership.
That's the obvious answer, right? I don't know what it is. Like maybe a high school health teacher? Like the most intense health teacher you've ever had?
I could see like a restaurant food truck situation that expanded into catering. So he was like walking around with the apron, but not actually cooking and like saying hey to the people who paid and like being the face of like Kirby's Catering or something that had decent, okay barbecue. Like if you were on a budget for your wedding and you wanted to spend more on the DJ, you'd be like, okay, I'll bring Kirby.
I can see that.
I can see that.
He does have kind of like Bush's baked beans spokesman energy a little bit.
Yes,
he does.
Exactly what I was thinking. Yes,
right.
But we're making sure we're not spelling catering with a K on that truck, right?
No.
We're not doing Kirby's Catering with a K. Okay, just so we're clear. Kirby, you can't do that.
Can't be like Kirby's Catering Country.
No.
Can't do it. No.
Kirby, no.
No. Kirby, no.
They don't call you. They don't call you Kirby Smart for nothing.
I can really see Kirby Smart with like an apron cooking. That's like some sort of barbecue. Yeah, I could see that for sure.
It's hard to argue against where they're deficient. I mean, some turnover in the offensive line. They're really solid on defense with a lot of stars. They've got some sneaky wide receivers that have transferred and kind of been buried on the depth chart that could step up. Last year, 35% of their designed rushes went for a first down. That is more than a third for those of you at home. 35% of design rushes generated a first down. That is first in the nation.
For my actual video game numbers.
And then Liberty.
That's running the dang ball.
They are a terrible game against Alabama away from their third straight national championship easily.
Is Kirby Smart the oldest looking 48-year-old that you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a hard job. Takes a lot out of you.
I mean, I guess. I look at it and I'm like, you're 8 years older than me and you look like you could be my dad.
He's sweating by the smokers out back,
Lane Kiffin's older by a year. Lane's 49.
Lane's built different.
Yeah.
Well, Lane's was retired in Boca for a few years.
I also don't call him Joey Freshwater for no reason.
That's right.
That's true.
Next up is Mississippi State. And our question is, their head coach is now their costume mascot. Does their record get better or worse, about the same? I feel like you got to bring in the girl mascot too. I believe they have two.
Is she the DC or the OC?
She definitely has DC vibes, I think.
Okay.
I did like these Bulldogs because they are like very jowl-fold. Remind me who Mississippi State's coach is this year?
Jeff Levy.
It's Jeff Levy.
It's Jeff Levy. Okay. The dog might be better. I don't know. Oh man, he coached at Victoria High School in Victoria, Texas. Ooh, okay.
Almost stone cold.
I think the dog won't coach quite as well as Jeff Levy. I feel like Jeff Levy.
He has an 0-0 record in the SEC. We know nothing.
That is true.
Are you suggesting that Jeff Levy hasn't played anybody?
Oh,
I am in fact suggesting that Jeff Levy ain't played nobody.
Jeff Levy ain't played nobody. I got the dogs. Coaching
my positive
the dogs.
stat for them last year is they were 107th in passing EPA on offense last year, and everything else aside, with that offensive system coming in, they will not be 107th in passing EPA this fall. I think that's definitely going to improve.
My main question is, will Jeff Levy ride into a game on an ATV?
No, I feel like that's not his vibe.
No.
Should if the dogs were the coach, they would ride into the game on an ATV.
Let's see. Do I have a good car sound effect? No, that's not it. Oh god, they're all going at once. No, that's not it.
This is Sparta!
No, okay. Never mind.
This is Starkville.
Jeff Levy should ride into the game on an ATV yelling, "This is Starkville" in the Sparta voice.
That's it. Done.
How have they not done that for their hype video yet? Okay.
They got to do that.
Next up is Vanderbilt. And our question is, what's the closest restaurant to their stadium?
Wasn't it like a Wendy's last year? We had the same.
Yeah, I feel like we did this exact question for Vanderbilt last year.
Give a new one for Vandy. I did. It was Wendy's.
Are there any Australians on Vandy's team? I believe there are. I think I looked this up before.
Maybe like a punter, you think?
I mean,
yeah.
Isn't that basically all of our Aussie friends?
ULM has an Aussie punter now. It's good.
Really?
They do.
Y'all are getting cultured.
His name is Mackenzie Ryan, and he has a mullet. Great.
We knew that when you told us his name.
So, they do have an Australian punter.
Yeah, I found Jesse Mirko.
Yes.
From Fremantle, Western Australia.
Oh, he was the punter and holder at Ohio State for a long time. I remember this guy sort of. Yes.
He was a Ray Guy semifinalist.
And surprise, he played Aussie rules football prior to learning to punt. Imagine that.
Funny how that works. For the record,
listed on the roster as 6'4", 222. So we've got another giant Aussie punter.
They only come in they only come in.
I just I just imagine like all these guys, like they're done with Aussie rules football, and this is kind of like a retirement league for them. Hey, all I gotta do is punt the ball. Like I don't have to do anything. Like nobody's gonna like clock me as soon as I kick the ball, if I'm lucky. For the most part.
Well, I focused all my energy on Diego Pavia, as I think everyone who watches Vandy football
hell yeah,
should do.
Yes.
Just an extremely fun football player. His variance on big time throw percent. So that's a stat website tracks that says, was this a key throw? His variance game to game was 23.9. That stat generally hovers around about 5 to 10 on a really good game. And so that is absolutely insane in terms of variance week to week. You just don't know what you're going to get out of him. He has games with 10% of his throws are big time throws, 14%, 9, and then he has 6 with 0 where he just didn't make any and made a bunch of negative plays. So he might not be good, but Vanderbilt's offense under Pavia will definitely be interesting.
It's going to be a lot more lively. Last year was kind of just sad.
It would be awesome if Will Shepherd was still there. I think it would legitimately be fun and like upset worthy. But it's hard to see who's going to take kind of over. He was 23% target share and was like a legitimate dude. It's hard to see who Pavia is going to throw to, but his time to throw last year was over 3 seconds. So he can create in the pocket. He can make something happen. He'll run around and it'll be fun.
I need this to be good. Please be good, Vandy. Be fun, Vandy. Oklahoma.
Diego Pavia, Detmer Darling.
What is the closest national park to the University of Oklahoma? I should know national parks in Oklahoma, and I don't know them.
I don't know that there are any.
I mean, we follow their Parks and Recreation account.
I'm just gonna sort of zoom out and see.
National Recreation Area, National Memorial, Historic Trail, Historic Site.
There's Red Rock Canyon Adventure Park, but that's not
list
national.
Of national parks. Search.
There's Chickasaw National Recreation Area.
Sand dunes. There's nothing close.
No.
Yeah, I don't think there's any national.
So it's going to be hot. It's going to be Hot Springs, isn't it? In Arkansas, isn't that? Don't they have national park over there?
Oh, I think they do.
I'm searching for that now, but it's got to be Hot Springs. I think
it is. Yeah. Okay, it has to be Hot Springs. Yeah, it has to be Hot Springs because the Texas ones are way too far away.
There's Fort Smith. There's the Santa Fe. There's the Santa Fe National Historic Trail.
We're not counting those.
We're definitely not counting the trails.
National parks. No, it's just Hot Springs. That's the closest one.
Yeah, I'm like scrolling through the list by state right now.
All right.
8.88 is the number. That is the average win total of their conference opponents. That is the highest in the SEC. In their first year, Oklahoma is facing the toughest SEC schedule that anyone is going to face this year. For reference, the average is about 7.5. Texas is the easiest at 6.25.
I'm going to need you to never say that fact again. Okay. So when Texas does really well,
don't clip that, Jordan, Mr. Editing Powers.
There we go. I don't want to hear that Texas being soft. Tennessee. Our question is,
besides gaslighting Joe Milton,
can this fan base handle multiple losing seasons?
No.
Nope.
I mean, they have done it. It doesn't go well.
No. If they have a losing season this year and next year, they're going to burn the place down.
Asked and answered.
I think very much so. They shifted last year or 2 years ago with Hooker. They had, I think, 30% of his deep balls or 30% of his passes were deep. And basically with Milton, they had about 50% of his passes were at or behind 9 yards in front of the line of scrimmage. They kind of substitute away from that deep ball. I think Nico has that. What you got to watch for Tennessee is not just the passes that get completed, it's the passes that result in pass interference. That's why they struggled a little bit last year, is they weren't generating those pass interference numbers as high or as often as they wanted to, and felt like they couldn't get the reads right. With Nico, you should see some more intermediate passes, and then also that true one-on-one, hey, we've got a mismatch, let's go get a touchdown or PI.
3 more teams in the SEC. Alabama. Our question is, good. Alt uniform / helmet for this team. Yeah, all the great history of Alabama alts.
Yeah, that's a thing that exists.
You know what my favorite alt is? It's the red helmet with the numbers on it. My favorite.
Do they even have like an alternate uniform?
No.
But
Alabama alt uniforms.
You think I have a blackout
uniform? Has Alabama ever worn alternate uniforms? Alabama wore slightly different pro-combat uniforms for a 2010 game with Mississippi State. Unlike other Nike alternates that season, Bama didn't change much at all.
I have it. There's literally no difference. There are little flags on the shoulders. That's it. Okay.
I see that one time they added a houndstooth trim to the neckline to honor Coach Bear Bryant.
But then the fans found out they changed the uniform slightly and they rebelled. That's not real.
They had white helmets in the 80s.
Ooh la la. Okay.
Yeah.
Asked and answered. Fine. Is Alabama going to be Alabama again? How soon?
Oh, probably. And I had a lot of stats about their underlying, Jalen Milroe moving from the dink and bomb to a more intermediate offense and what Washington runs and the offensive line play. But I thought it'd be more fun to do a dramatic reveal. This stat is called disaster plays. So it's bad snaps plus bad QB catch of snap plus broken plays. Those are all tags in the charting data, right? At fifth, tied for fifth, Texas Tech, Texas A&M, Bowling Green with 19. Fourth, Navy with 20. Second, Buffalo and Sam Houston State tied with 22. First, Alabama with 35.
Holy shit. Really?
What does it take for the most talented team to not win the national championship? That right there, right?
Oh my God.
So if they can clean some of that up on the offensive line, they bring in Brailsford at center. Hopefully Milroe and him have a good repertoire. But you just Alabama, it's easy right now, because he's still got the bones from the Saban years. Just don't shoot yourself in the foot like they did last year. And what a nice thing to say, hey, they shot themselves in the foot and they were still, a play away from playing for national title.
That is a shocking number. Holy shit.
I thought the reveal would pay off. I'm glad it did. Yeah.
Their center transferred, right?
Yeah, they have the new ones. They have the new one.
They brought the guy from Washington over. Their old center transferred to Ohio State.
Did you see the office change for Alabama? They took out Nick Saban's wood paneling smoking room and turned it into the lobby of a Marriott.
Yeah, totally. I hate it.
South Carolina is up next. Go ahead, Pickle.
It's modern tacky, and I hate it so much.
South Carolina. What are 1-star reviews, Google reviews for South Carolina? While we're looking those up, Parker, South Carolina, are they going to be as enjoyable as they have been? I feel like they should be.
It's hard because you don't know how the offensive line is going to hold up. Lenora Sellers is really fun. They brought in Gage Lavardane from Miami of Ohio. He was a really high yards per route run, really high yards after catch guy. He's very small, will be the slot guy. The number for me for South Carolina is 10-11. 10-11 is how fast Nick Harbor can run a 100-meter dash. He plays out of the slot for them. He plays out wide for them. Isn't maybe the best football instincts guy, but is a huge human being who can run just absolutely blazes and competes in track. He's going to be super fun. They bring in Lavardane to have kind of that underneath too. If they can get any kind of repertoire with those three guys, they will upset somebody in true South Carolina fashion.
My favorite one so far is 1-star review by Isaiah Ogle. Pretty bad at football, not fun. That's from 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, I think that one's the best one.
Yep,
I
agreed.
think so too. And lastly, y'all, it's Auburn time.
Oh,
I'm going to spin the wheel. Hey, Pitt Girl, how you feel about Auburn?
I don't even know, man.
What are we looking at for Auburn this year?
Last year, Auburn ran 58 plays on offense with 2 tight ends on the field. That was in the top 15 in the nation. Really bulky. I think this year they are really happy with their wide receiver class and want to run fewer of 12 personnel and more out wide, more running, more kind of traditional Hugh Freeze spread offense. So they feel like they have the talent to do that. Your quarterback is still Peyton Thorne for what it's worth. They or for what it's worth. And so who knows what the returns are going to be on that, but I expect we'll see that number go way, way down with Auburn this year as they try to get some more of those talented wide receivers involved and worry less about getting their quarterback killed.
Folks, I think we actually finished up the SEC. Now this is our chance to roll into our MAC preview, which is the good vibes.
Action. Yeah.
Commish, while I get this up, will you do me a favor and pull out the MAC?
Oh, I got it.
Last year?
All right. 2023 MAC conference football standings. Miami, Ohio, conference champion. They won the conference championship over Toledo. 7-1 in conference, 11-3 overall. Ohio, 6-2 in conference, 10-3 overall. Bowling Green, 5-3 in conference, 7-6 overall. Buffalo, 3-5 in conference, 3-9 overall. Akron, 1-7 in conference, 2-10 overall. Kent State, 0-8 in conference, 1-11 overall. Toledo, West Division champions, 8-0 in conference, 11-3 overall. Northern Illinois, 5-3 in conference, 7-6 overall. Eastern Michigan, 4-4 in conference, 6-7 overall. Central Michigan, 3-5 in conference, 5-7 overall. Ball State, 3-5 in conference, 4-8 overall. Western Michigan, 3-5 in conference, 4-8 overall. And please bring back Buster Bronco.
The super suited out.
Yeah, the zooted out mascot. Bring him back.
I love him so much. Can I just say that Akron Kent State game last year for the Wagon Wheel, probably one of my top 10 memories of last season for some reason. Because it was such a passionate game, and watching the Akron players slide towards the end zone to grab the wheel. God, that's it just makes me so happy. Our first team up, by the way, is Kent State.
Oh,
Who's the heaviest player listed on their thing and their roster that is not an offensive tackle or defensive tackle? And Parker, give me some good Kent State news. Only pluses on Kent State.
I got to dig for that. They were 133rd on defense on 3rd and 4th down success allowed, which was obviously worst in the nation. But they were 81st on early downs EPA. So when it became, a little bit of a situation where they could scheme a little bit more, play the matchups as opposed to just line up against better athletes, they did capitalize on that and did better on those early downs. They are, 130s, low hundreds in basically every stat. And so there's nowhere to go but up for Kent State there. And maybe some signs on defense that they do have some schematic advantages that they could continue to capitalize on as they develop their personnel a little bit.
Who's our dude, folks?
I see. I have number 7, Matt Harmon. He's a linebacker, 6'5", 254.
Folks, I do want to mention Kent State's first 4 games of the year on their usual Ride to Hell tour.
yes.
It is at Pitt versus St. Francis, PA, which is the game they play for, at Tennessee, at Penn State.
Oh, buddy.
This is what I wish I pulled, but this is way more up your alley. Dollars per loss for Kent State over the last 4 years with bye games. I'm sure they funded the entire, paid the entire town. Yeah.
I mean, ULM, basically it's a huge chunk of the athletic department. ULM does the same thing as Kent State and Akron.
Hey, Pitt Girl, you can get tickets to that game for as low as $6.
Oh, I'm sure.
Beautiful.
Sadly, the cost to drive out to Pittsburgh and back on the Pennsylvania Turnpike is several times that.
Next up is Akron, their partner in crime. Rate the team based on colors only, 1 to 10. I think they've muted their colors down to almost a Notre Dame.
Yeah, it's a navy and gold. It's not dissimilar from Pitt's navy and Vegas gold. It's a 6. It's fine.
It's a 4 for me. I'm not loving this. Commish.
These are my high school colors.
Oh, that's right, because you went to a mini Notre Dame. That's right.
I did go to a Notre Dame affiliated high school in New Orleans. So yeah, these are basically the colors that high school football. I'll give them an 8.5.
Akron, good news.
Oh, well,
they beat Kent State.
I picked a bad one for Akron. I'm sorry. I'm not playing with the rules here.
You're
percent
fine.
of total defensive successes allowed on scrambles. Akron was 4.61, which means that about 95% of scrambles 95% of defensive success they allowed came in structure and just the regular business of running and passing the ball. That's a really bad list to be on. That means, hey, you didn't get stuck by some good quarterback play. You were just bad. There's no explaining it. You were just really, really bad. And so that's Akron's defense, until they can get, obviously love Coach Moorhead. And the problem is so hard, and I don't want to trivialize that for any of those guys, but until they can just get some athletes on the defensive side of the ball, they are just going to line up and get beat.
They just need some dudes.
Got to find some dudes, maybe even some guys, but definitely need some dudes.
Ohio is up next. Ohio kept coming up in my light stat work this week because Ohio was one of those teams that just did not score a ton of points last year, but won a bunch of games just being them, which is delightful. Coolest facial hair on the team for Ohio. While we look that up, Parker, what do we got for Ohio?
Ohio was second in the nation in explosive passing defense last year. They gave up an explosive pass once every 11.9 attempts, sandwiched between Iowa and Clemson.
That is a fun fact.
That one is not opponent adjusted.
Oh yeah, okay, yes. Looking for good facial hair.
We've got number 18 Bailey Russ with a very dad coated mustache.
Yeah, almost a little coppish almost.
Yeah.
A little bit, yeah.
What else?
Give me a lineman, something weird. Here we go.
I love the idea of something weird for lineman. Give us something weird.
Well, I mean, there is number 69 Parker Titsworth, but there's no facial hair there.
Just a great choice.
Number 28 Ricky Hunt Jr. has a very full, just nice, clean cut.
Yeah.
Short beard.
I kind of like number 66.
Nothing outrageous in here.
Number 66, Christoph. Is it not Christopher? There's
it appears to be Christoph.
Okay.
Christoph Atkinson. He's got a scraggly beard.
Strength and conditioning coach isn't bad.
Oh, that's Parker's job.
That's Tyler's shoemate. It's a little bit of a bushy beard. It's a little gingery too. It works.
Okay.
We're on to Toledo. Surprisingly feisty. Not surprisingly, but very feisty. What are Toledo's end zones like? I hope they're not lame.
It's just like the Rocket, right?
Yeah, I feel like they're okay. And,
I think they're just. Are they just blue with Toledo in them?
Probably. Nothing crazy.
Images.
What you got for Toledo?
It's blue and yellow, and it says Rockets in big red, like big block font.
It's fine. Okay.
Fine.
Parker, what's our Toledo fact?
I want to mention that Toledo was second in most EPA lost to holding penalties last year. They lost 28 points of value just behind Ole Miss. But I'm being positive. So instead, I'll go back to, I haven't mentioned Eckel in a while, and I got to stay on brand. They were 24th in points per Eckel allowed on defense, certainly fitting in with their identity of bend, don't break. And on offense, they were 4th in raw, unadjusted points per Eckel. So they were scoring and finishing drives well as not allowing those scoring drives. So some descriptive stats about their performance last year are kind of underlying, hey, they were pretty decent.
That feels correct about them from what I remember. Ball State is up next. And our question is, I get to review each game on the schedule with a soundboard effect.
Oh God, let's do it.
Commish, tell me the schedule.
All right. Ball State football.
Oh, we lost you. Nope.
Oh, you're back.
You're back.
What? Okay.
You were briefly gone, but now you're back.
They welcome in Missouri State.
Hello there.
They're at Miami, Florida. At Central Michigan.
So long.
At James Madison. Okay. Home to Western Michigan. At Kent State. I don't even know what this sound is. All right. At Vanderbilt. At Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt. Okay, yeah, that's me. Home to Northern Illinois. Home to Miami, Ohio, and this is Maction. At Buffalo, Maction. Home to Bowling Green. And at Ohio to end the year. Jordan, you're slacking on the soundboard. I'm very disappointed. I was about to say this. I'm not happy with the sounds. But all right.
Oh, fucking hell. Okay.
That is like 2 weeks in a row that Commish said you're slacking on the soundboard, Jordan.
I did. I said it in the soundboard too. Jordan, you're slacking on the soundboard. I'm very disappointed.
I'm just gonna leave that on there too.
I thought you were gonna clip my voice from the other day when I did the Gambit impersonation.
Oh, from the chat? I can do that too.
Yeah.
Okay, Parker, what do we got? What do we got for them?
Make a name for myself.
Ball State last year on defense, they stopped people on the rush relative to the pass. They were 98th in EPA per rush, which is one of 3-4 stats that they were better than 100th in all season on defense. The downside to that is they were second in rush rate over expected against. Teams rushed 10.5 percentage points less against Ball State than an average team would have in those situations. Just absolutely slinging the ball with impunity against this Ball State defense all around. So the efficiency on run game was a little bit better. That probably speaks to some things they were doing right on defense, but also speaking to the fact that if I can just throw all over you, why would I ever rush against you?
Next up is Miami of Ohio, and our question is,
Bevelheimer.
How many human mascots do they play against, and what is their record against those humans? Are there many human mascots in the MAC? I don't think so.
Well, they play at the Fighting Irish. They play against the Minutemen.
Okay, that's two.
That's it.
Okay.
No, Chippewas are people.
Okay.
Chippewas are people, yes.
The chips. All right, sorry.
Yeah.
I skipped the chips.
I feel like record against that feels like a good 2-1 record.
2-1, yeah.
Yeah, wins over the Chips, win over
the Minutemen.
Minutemen. I was gonna say the Fighting Irish. No, I think that's gonna happen.
I mean, it would be great. I would really enjoy that.
It would be.
Is Miami going to be fun again this year as well?
I certainly think so. I'm going to rely on our friend Bill Conley's stat for the good stat for Miami of Ohio. They're returning 74% of their production. That's 9th in the nation. That is leaps and bounds, makes them the most experienced team in the MAC. So certainly should be poised to have a consistent offense with Gabbert healthy. They're excited about some of the receivers that they are bringing in. Last season, their Eckel ratio was 55.9. They were 34th in the nation. So all signs are pointing to Miami being the prohibitive favorite in the MAC.
How many Gabberts is it just the two? No, there's 3 Gabberts.
There's only one. He's just wearing a mustache. It's a different mustache every time.
It's 3 Gabberts on each other's shoulders. Got it.
I just want to give a shout out to Alec Bevelheimer.
Oh, yes,
the punter for Miami, Ohio. Ray Guy, watch list again.
Next up is Buffalo. Someone that our followers and most people can never remember are the Bulls. This is the one I've heard people fuck up the mascot of the most. Because they always go with Bills or Buffalo or like anything else but Bulls.
The Bison, the Buffalo Bison.
How brave or cowardly is their non-conference schedule? Is a question.
Oh my God.
It's kind of like they just copied the NFL team's homework. They're like, you're the Bills, we're going to be the Bulls. Yeah.
Bulls. Yeah, it does feel that way. Hashtag
non-con for Buffalo. They welcome in number 17, Lafayette, the Leopards, FCS.
Okay, that's not an easy game.
That's like a moderately brave FCS game.
Yeah, they're at Missouri, at Mizzou.
That's brave.
And they welcome in future MAC opponent UMass.
There's also UConn on there too.
And then I was at UConn. Thank you, Beth.
No problem.
Oh, so we're gonna have a triangle game between UMass, Mizzou, and
Buffalo.
Oh, yeah, they're
as well as UMass, Buffalo, and Missouri.
Dude, are you you're gonna have enough with UMass and UConn to have a really funny circle of suck? Like it's gonna be.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you got
You're
those
gonna get
2
someone
points.
to still link everything.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. The linchpin in this. Someone tried to help me automate this by using a version of the traveling salesman problem, and I got about halfway through. I was like, nope, I'm not. This is more math than I'm gonna fuck with. No, thank you, sir. Okay, what is our Buffalo fun fact?
I did mention my negative stat. They were up there in disaster plays last year, but on offense, they were 5th in percent of their yards after catch coming from the slot. So really productive out of the slot. 55.6% of all of their yards after catch came out of throws to the slot. To me, what that says, given the level of talent, they were able to find some guys down the seam. They were able to scheme open some guys using some of that RPO game and play action to free up guys as well. That's what you want to see. You know, you're not often going to have just a dude that you can go to every time. But if you have something in your wheelhouse, you can say, hey, let's go target that. That's a reason for optimism. So watch the slot receivers for Buffalo this year.
I want to say, like, in order for me to remember their new head coach, who is Pete Lembo, I've just been calling him Pete Lem Buffalo. That's
right. Because Mo Linguist went to go be
he's like a co-defensive coordinator at Alabama.
That's right. This
is why we did the MAC and SEC together. It's the Mo Linguist.
I guess that's also a reason for optimism. Their special teams should be better than everyone else in the MAC, and we know how much that matters later in the season when the weather gets weird. So there's some optimism for Buffalo as well.
That is true. That's going to be some fun action because Pete Lembo is a great special teams coach.
Pete Lembo was Dartmouth tight ends coach back in the 90s. Wow.
That's right.
Okay. And Northeast folks are wild. I love that.
I'm going to try to make it take off.
The cap is about an hour and a half before Jordan can mention a Dartmouth connection or remind us that he went to Dartmouth. If we're counting
about an hour and a half.
That's about it.
Well, you'll also notice I jump on my North Texas affiliations too. Oh wait, no, never mind. Remember how they have the sad-looking mascot? That's always my go-to North Texas. How about Eastern Michigan?
Grayfield. Okay.
Read the schedule, come up with a scenario that makes them Sickos national champions.
Okay.
This is one of those where they have to be very good. That's how they do this.
Good Eastern Michigan in and of itself is enough to start drawing votes. And I say that with all the love and respect in the world for Eastern Michigan.
They beat Washington in Washington on September 7th if they do this. And that's enough right there to absolutely just flip this thing and get them up on our list for sure.
I would love like their whole season. Like they go to UMass, they beat UMass. They go to Washington, they beat Washington. They beat Jacksonville State, but somehow they lose to St. Francis, PA.
Yeah.
And then they win the rest of the schedule.
That would be their second MAC championship all time, I believe.
I don't think they even have a MAC.
No, I don't think never mind. You're right. They don't have
They've never won a MAC championship. No.
Did you see what Godfrey called this over on Split Zone Duo? They call it Eastern Michigan trauma football.
Oh,
like in a positive way. It wasn't negative per se. It was just very much like this is the kind of football where they're just going to beat you with a rock repeatedly. Cinder block. Yeah. Yes.
Okay, so apparently in 87 they have a MAC title.
Yeah, I thought they had one.
Yeah, they got one. All right.
Okay.
Eastern Michigan, Chris Creighton has been great against the spread, particularly just ignoring the debacle from last year. Because what can you do? He was 4-1 against the spread in bowl games. And that particularly speaks to how much he's able to craft a matchup with some time, given the limited resources. I don't think you can say enough about him as a coach. The fact that he's consistently overperformed against the spread, and that he is able to, you can't necessarily track wins and losses at a situation like that. And he's been able to overperform dramatically, as evidenced by those bowl performances.
Yeah, they ran into the South Alabama buzzsaw.
Yeah, that was
in South Alabama. That's just incredibly unfair.
Yeah,
unfair. Oh, that was brutal.
I hope they had a good time beforehand. Yeah,
I mean, definitely. I hope they enjoyed the battleship and the Mobile Mardi Gras, the home of Mardi Gras, which I had to say because I lost that bet.
Eastern Michigan is just one of those teams that makes my heart happy whenever they do well, because it is the epitome of doing something with nothing. Like they are building this boat out of cinder blocks and duct tape at this point, and it's beautiful and wonderful to watch.
So is Eastern Michigan the concrete canoe?
Yes, this is the epitome of concrete canoe. Absolutely. 4 more, Bowling Green. And our question is...
Scott Loeffler.
Map their schedule out the team like the Oregon Trail and predict which game will cause death by dysentery.
Oh, God.
So I typed in 2024 Bowling Green football schedule. Then I typed in 2024 Bowling Green, and it said tractor pull. I'm more interested in that right now.
I think that's fair.
God, I want September Maryland realities for Bowling Green so bad.
Oh my God!
Oh yeah,
that would be brilliant.
Oh,
that gets you a win over Fordham, fine. A win at Penn State, better. A win at Texas A&M, best.
Oh my God!
And then you get Old Dominion, perfect. I really do feel like that A&M game may be dysentery. They may get broken at that point.
Yeah.
They're dying pretty early on in this season. I don't know if it's dysentery as much as just like mauled by a cougar or something. Like it's
probably, I think a lion may get them.
Yeah, this is very Ride to Hell also.
Yeah.
It is. I hope they're getting, I hope the paycheck is very good.
At least they got a bye week in between those games.
Texas A&M has like 200 Jimbos worth of money. They can pay. It's fine.
Bowling Green, we love you guys. Wash your hands.
$1.6 million for the Texas A&M game, by the way.
Okay.
And Penn State is paying them.
That'd be good. That'd be good for a tweet if it does happen.
I can't find the other one. Hold up. Looks like about 1.6 for Penn State as well.
So we'll call it 3.2 million, which is about wait, hang on, I did that math wrong. Never mind.
Okay.
Continue.
My fun fact again might turn negative here. I didn't mean for it to, but I was going to point out that either Derry or Derry Kelly from Bowling Green was 6th in the nation in pressure from the interior defensive line. He had 11.9%, which is ahead of Mason Graham. So pretty solid number there, even if you don't account for opponent. It does not appear that he is currently on their roster. Can someone check me on that? I want to speak lightly because I'm not aware of a situation. I assumed he was there, but it does not appear that Derry Kelly is on their roster anymore. So maybe they're losing that production and they are not retaining that.
While we are fact checking, Parker, I just want to inform everybody that Bowling Green is making about 4% of a Jimbo for their bye games this season.
Those bye games are also worth more than Scott Loeffler's entire contract, which was only $2.8 million.
That is not surprising
for 5 years.
So the funny thing about this, when I typed in the schedule, right, it was the 2023 and 2024 National Tractor Pulling Championships that happened this weekend. They don't have the results up.
Derry Kelly is still on the team. They just wished him a happy birthday yesterday.
Okay, thank goodness. All right, then it's a positive. Yes, they have one of the most disruptive defensive linemen in the interior in the MAC. That's great.
All I know is Bowling Green was like a turnover machine last year. Like they would turn the ball over a ton, and they would force a lot of turnovers. They were like number 1 in the nation, besides I guess like Nebraska was negative. But yeah,
I think their net was like it wasn't quite 0, but it was very close. It was almost perfectly balanced. It was just so chaotic.
So many turnovers. It was incredible.
3 more to go. Western Michigan, our friend the Zooted Buster. What was their 1974 season like?
1974 Western Michigan.
3-8, 0-5 in the MAC with win over. Tells you how long ago this was. Texas Arlington.
UTA. Wow.
Loss at Eastern Michigan
by 1.
Northern Illinois. Lost to Bowling Green. Lost to Kent State. Lost to Toledo. Beat Marshall. Marshall 74. No, it was before their really good time. lost to Ohio, lost to Miami, Ohio, lost to number 8 Central Michigan, and lost to Long Beach State. The beach. The 49ers at that point, sorry. Yeah, this is not very sickos. This is just sort of... They did, however, get rid of their coach due to mounting pressure, quote unquote. Bill Doolittle. Yeah, this is pretty standard for like a standard bad MAC year.
Last season on offense, they were 105th in starting field position. They began drives at their own 27.7, so barely better than a touchdown. But they were 87th in echo rate. So again, the 87th number is not great, but given the fact that they started so poorly on field position with special teams and with the lack of defense generating turnovers and positive drives, that 87th is better than you would have expected. So they did outperform in quality possession generation.
So basically they almost every one of their drives, they started at the 27-yard line, which is 2 yards better than a touchback. They had to go 73 yards to get a touchdown. Man, that was a long road for the Broncos last year.
Yeah. What was the starting position of the best team in the country?
Starting field position of the best team, I believe the top value last year was like 33.
Okay.
And the worst value was like 21, because touchbacks are going to filter into so much of that, right?
Right.
Yeah. So the biggest.
So if you're below the touchback line, if you're below the 25-yard line, it's
like
bad.
Normally distributed around, mean touchback, basically, right? And standard deviation. Where you're going to see a lot of the differences is you're going to see like the Michigans and the Georgias and the Notre Dames that had defenses that generated turnovers. And so that's where you get those kind of positive value drives that start in opposing territory. That's where you shift away from kind of the touchdown or the touchback starting field position. It's less special teams and more defense.
Northern Illinois, and our question is, what's the best named bowl this team has played in? There's got to be some good choices here, y'all.
Oh yeah, it's Maction.
They always end up in like some crazy ass named thing. Okay, like great choices. Silicon Valley Football Classic.
Yep.
The GoDaddy.com Bowl, a Poinsettia Bowl, an International Bowl.
Oh.
Yeah, there's a lot of great stuff here.
The Silicon Valley Football Classic is going to have to be the winner for me. The 5th and final Silicon Valley Football Classic, in fact. They beat Troy 34-21.
So I love those, but they also permit, if we scroll down to other bowl games.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
That's what I'm staring at.
Yeah. You will see that they appeared in 3 mineral water bowls.
Yes.
Minerals Water Bowl, I believe.
Yeah. That's pretty wonderful. And I also do love the Turkey Bowl and the Hoosier Bowl.
I'm sorry, in Excelsior Springs, Missouri.
Yes. I was about it's the Excelsior Springs Mineral Water Bowl.
Look at the logo.
Look at wonderful.
Amazing.
Look at it.
It's so good. Jesus Christ.
Okay. The Turkey Bowl, the Hoosier Bowl, and they lost to Evansville in both of those. The Purple Aces. Amazing.
Adam,
sponsored by the Quarterback Club of Excelsior Springs.
I think I gotta go with the Mineral Water Bowl. The Turkey Bowl's good, but Mineral Water. There we go.
I'm gonna go ahead and post the field that they used to hold this at in the chat.
Yeah,
I assume it's some old works.
It's
Is that a tarmac or a track?
It sure looks like a tarmac.
Okay.
It's a track. It might be an asphalt track. But...
yeah. It looks like it.
Is Northern Illinois going to be less boring this year? I'll put it that way.
Well, they lose Rocky Lombardi, so no, they're going to be more boring just by losing that shining star. But
12th year senior Rocky Lombardi.
Returning running
Dr.
back.
Rocky Lombardi.
Returning running back Ontario Brown is 5'10", 219 pounds. So he's a big old boy. Ooh. And last year, he had, just by total volume, had the second best rushing performance of any running back in the nation. Versus Akron, he put up 280 yards, added 22.1 points of expected point value there. So really solid on the run game. He's really talented and gives him an advantage. Is able to shuck off some of those smaller MAC defenses. They should run the ball well and get their new quarterback a lot of space to grow into the game.
Cincinnati Bengal Rocky Lombardi, by the way. He was an undrafted agent. Also was selected by the Michigan Panthers for the UFL draft.
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure he's going to play in the UFL. But yeah, which is good. That's a good career move. Get some reps. Yeah.
Or send him to Canada. Also a valid move. Lastly, Central Michigan. And our question is, What is their what is this team's hashtag for their 2024 season? Commish, you find these better than I do.
Let me see what I can do here.
While he's doing that,
CMU
Parker,
football.
what is Jim McElwain up to? Is it good?
So many things. I think they've got some interesting pieces this year. I want to point out in just a quick breath, Marion Lukes, the running back, was 6th in the nation when we're talking about returning running backs in yards per route run last year. So he was super productive for a running back in terms of the pass game. That gives them a great weapon. Not only that their quarterback can kind of dump the ball off to and make something happen if there's chaos or pressure, but also getting him involved down the field. You get a +1 situation that frees up your run game a little bit too. And so he was really great last year out of the backfield in the pass game and should give them a weapon that not many other MAC teams are going to have.
Hey, what do we got, guys?
I'm looking at the CMU football account, and it says consistently their tweets have fire up chips, #fire up chips, fire emoji, up arrow football, and then also #PTS. And I don't know what that means.
I don't know what that means.
I am trying to find that out. And
I would say, okay, cool,
I have no
chip
idea.
them. Like Tom Herman said, okay, cool, hook them. Okay, cool, chip them. I think that works.
Parker, while they're doing this, Parker, if folks like your stuff, where do they find you?
StatsOWar on Twitter is the best place. That's where all the stuff goes. And as we get into football season, it'll be less memes and shouting about the suits running college football and more analysis of the stuff that's actually happening on the field, which is the good stuff. Also, if you're so inclined on YouTube on Tuesdays and Wednesdays throughout the season at 1:00 Eastern, I'll be on the BetUS NCAA picks and predictions show with my friend Gary and Kyle. That's going into its 4th year, which is at this point, besides grad school, like the longest commitment of anything that I've done in my life. And it's been really great and rewarding. So check us out there, BetUS on YouTube, Tuesdays and Thursdays at 1:00 Eastern.
Well, Parker, I finally get to say this to you. Thank you so much for all the analysis that you do. It helps us out a ton because we can talk out of our asses and be fun with it, but you give us real numbers to talk about. We're one of those folks that I want to make jokes that are true and funny, and you help me be true about them, basically.
Awesome. That's so great to hear.
That's what more could we ask for, is being able to go, no, this feels weird, and here are the numbers that show why this is weird, which is always great. So thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Anybody can pull up ESPN and look at the headlines and then get on there and say, Iowa bad. It's good to have things about like Iowa's running the ball more than anyone, and they're also worse at running the ball than anyone. So I'm certainly glad to put a little method to the madness.
And I'm more than happy to also have you pull your hair out from the shit that I post as well. So that makes me happy. More clusters, bigger clusters, weirder clusters.
Fewer labels this year. That's the goal for 2024.
Oh, I really think labels get in the way of interpretation, honestly.
You only have this bullet once, but you have a 1 cluster graph that you could do and just put all 134 teams in it. They're all the same color and say nothing. Like play it off entirely straight, like Andy Kaufman. Just, I'm going to do this and pretend this is data science. I love it.
That's actually perfect. Okay, that's going on the list. Thank you. Wonderful.
Jordan's updating the vision board again.
Oh, yes. Commish, got something to say before we wrap it up?
No, I just wanted to appreciate Parker for coming on and dropping the stats and all that stuff. So, I mean, we appreciate what Jordan said. We appreciate what you do on the Twitter. Like, we love seeing the graphs and the previews because, I mean, people tend to gravitate towards, hey, here's the, number 1 versus number 7. I'm like, hey, can we get like New Mexico State versus FIU? I want to see what this looks like.
Yeah, bless you for putting out every game. That makes me watch so much.
You put out all the games, and I mean, like some of the games, I actually like. Can we get some FCS previews? But I know it's a lot. But
God,
I mean,
so
like whatever.
That's my data provider. They need to get off their behinds and chart every FCS game.
I know. I was like, let's get some more stats, and I'm like, it's got me thinking of like, I need to create an app that has all levels and like make like Bill Connolly's top 762 make sense, and then you could do analytics off of that. And it's just like there's something in my head just thinking, but I appreciate it because I mean there's so much red, there's so much like all these games, we love them all, like we watch them all, like no matter how good the teams are, and we love to see like evenly matched teams, even though that their stats are like way low.
That's the thing, right? Is that we're looking for like teams where the weaknesses and strengths match up weirdly, and your stuff gives us a great chance to glance at it and go like, okay, there's 80 games going on. This one jumps out as these two teams are relatively equal. that should be fun to watch.
Like, this is their strength. This or this is their weakness, and this is also their weakness. Whose weakness is worse?
Yeah. Occasionally it's steel versus steel. Sometimes it's Jello versus Jello. It's fine.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's
the hope with it. I mean, I don't hear this arrogantly. Like, coaches use those and look at them and say, this is a great way to start. Where do I go to the film? Where do I go to deeper stats and all that? But also fans can use those. It really, when my brain was just like, I want to be able to look at an overview of a game and just say, like, what do I need to think about this? How do I start thinking about this? And it's not the end all be all, but I do think it is turned into, with a lot of help and a lot of feedback, and obviously guys like you sharing it and spreading around, it's turned into something that I think is just a super useful one sheet to start to peel back the layers on which games are interesting and in what ways are they interesting. And then you could dive down the rabbit hole as deeply as you want.
I want to take a second also to appreciate the "Did we really get beat that bad?" index.
Yes.
As a
that is
fan,
easily the most
especially
polarizing.
last
That is
season.
easily the most polarizing chart. And I don't know. I think it's just like a dumb, simple, like, let's just look at this, and it just turns
you so much, Parker,
and they become animals about it. I mean, it just infuriates people.
I mean, they wanted to fire you from. They wanted to fire you from Ohio State special teams last year. So I mean,
please respect my privacy.
It was so impressive. People lose their minds because all of a sudden that win just isn't quite as good anymore, and they just get so angry.
There's nothing more you could do to a college football fan than there's no bigger hope you can give them in saying, hey, you actually did better than it looked like, or hey, you did worse than it looked like, is just how to enrage anyone. It's like, oh, it wasn't that good. Yeah.
They're just like, what do you mean we lost that game? And they're like at the bottom, like over there, like, damn it. It's just like, just breaks their, like, just ruins their mood. It's a lot of fun.
Folks, so what we got for today. On Tuesday, we will be back and we'll be here to preview actual football games. Holy shit.
Week 0.
Let's go.
Oh,
real football games this week.
Let's do it. Real football.